What's up? What's going on? It's the ghost of Hide and Read. Yes, I'm losing my mind, but I kind of blame it on these videos. What's up? What's going on? Hide and Read. Got a video for you today by request. If you guys want to request a video for me, please do so below in the comments. Make my life easier. It's not that simple coming up with all these video ideas. Yeah, so request away. Don't be shy. Anyway, this one was requested by Austin from Outer World Media. Linked in the description, tagged in the title maybe. Let's see. He wanted to see what kind of books. He was curious about what kind of books I would be reading to get into the mood for Halloween. But let's talk about Halloween a little bit first. Halloween has got to be the best holiday. I'm sorry. The other ones are cool, but I just love Halloween. And for me, it's not a day. It's, there is one day, like a peak moment of Halloween, but there's also all the days coming before Halloween and all the days coming after. And if there's any holidays that you like to celebrate, I welcome you to celebrate them that way. It's a lot better than the way that they've set it up recently, where you just pretend everybody puts on a show and you buy a bunch of gifts and food and alcohol and stuff for a couple hours and then you go home and go back to work. If you really like one of these holidays, you could just start with one. Just spread it as far as you can. You don't even have to tell anybody about it. I'm not that shy, so I don't mind telling you guys. But yeah, that's Halloween. I love Halloween. To me, it's not a day. It's something that's always going on. But as we get closer to that peak moment of Halloween, and when we move away from it too, things start getting a little spooky. The veil is getting thinner and thinner. Maybe you'll notice it. So anyway, let's get right to it with a classic, Dracula, by Bram Stoker. This is the copy that I got when I was maybe in I think I was in 5th grade, and they had the book fair. Everybody was getting stickers and posters and erasers. Well, this dummy would get books. That's how I got a lot of my books. Dracula. And man, that cover is scary. The story's pretty good too. Especially if you like vampire stuff. If you've read any vampire fiction and you liked it, this is better. This is way better than all that, I promise you. It's so crazy. And it's not corny. It's not like a corny vampire book at all. It's not a vampire book. It just has the master of vampires in it. It's awesome. Dracula. It's so cool. Okay. Now, in the same theme, even though I just told you this is the best vampire book ever, blah, 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 there's still lots of good vampire books. I personally like Vampire Hunter D. These are what they call light novels. This just means it's a pulp kind of novella writing. And from Japan, the author is, what's his name? Hideyuki Kikuchi. I got a couple of these books. They started releasing them in 2 or 3 of them in one binding, so I'll probably start collecting those once I get a couple dollars put together. But for now, I got a couple paperbacks. Vampire Hunter D. If you're curious about this at all, I suggest you go watch one of the animes. If you like anime and you haven't seen Vampire Hunter D, you're in for a treat. You're in for a real treat. He's so cool. He's like every Western hero and a vampire hunter and just all of this. It's so cool. It really is, I promise. Vampire Hunter D. All right. Here's another Japanese one. There's actually, I forgot, I have some Japanese horror that is actually legitimately scary, but maybe another time. this, it's hard for me to say. I really enjoy all the works of Junji Ito. This they call him mangaka. He's the author of these. And boy, we're gonna get flagged for boobs. Oh well. But yeah, he's the author of these manga, and they are legitimately gross, scary, and like existentially terrifying all at the same time. But just like kind of a warning that Japanese humor is nothing like the humor that we have, especially in America. It's not. It's. I don't get it, and I've been reading this stuff for a long time, but I just certainly appreciate it. But there's definitely some humor in here, but the horror seems to be universal. So this is fragments of horror. Yeah, just lots of creepy short stories. If you've never heard of Junji Ito, I really suggest you look into that if you're into horror. That, you know, that might be what you get out of this video. I don't know. Check them out. Check them out. All right. How about some classics? Edgar Allan Poe. This is the Portable Poe from Viking Press. I had not this exact book, but I had this same like edition as a young man. I carried it everywhere. It was so beat to shit by the time I was done with it. But this one is perfect. I saw it in the store. I couldn't believe it. It's like it came out of a time capsule. I really like these like Viking portable library editions. The glue on is like, they're always really good. So if you see these and they're in good shape, I suggest picking them up, and yeah, you'll have a nice classic paperback library. But yeah, the Portable Poe. What's not to like about Edgar Allan Poe? If I mentioned previously that we have some subscribers from foreign countries. If you guys want to work on your English and you want to read English words that Americans, really anybody speaking English, is not familiar with, Edgar Allan Poe is just full of just like classic words that are just not in use anymore. I remember when I was young, that's how I learned. I learned a lot of new words from Mr. Edgar Allan Poe. But yeah, lots of horror in here. Recently on the channel, we did a review for Cornell Woolrich Fright, which was just a retelling basically of Telltale Heart, which is from Edgar Allan Poe. So, and that story's been retold so many times. If I remember correctly, there's a Simpsons episode for Telltale Heart, so you can enjoy that story many different ways. It's a similar guy, H.P. Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction. And so if Edgar Allan Poe was like dreary and gloomy, H.P. Love and like just like sullen, H.P. Lovecraft is like in the clouds, talking about space monsters with tentacles and interdimensional world-destroying beasts. And books, if you read them, they make you go crazy. That's a Necronomicon. If you're a horror movie buff, wow, and you didn't see this movie, you definitely have to go watch it. Evil Dead. Watch the second one, Evil Dead 2. But in Evil Dead, there's a cabin, and inside the cabin they find this ancient book, and it's called the Necronomicon. And that's part of a lot of the Lovecraft stories, is the Necronomicon. And if you read the Necronomicon, it'll make you insane. So there's some tie-ins there for you. And the remake for Evil Dead, the recent remake that came out, I say recent, but I think it's probably almost like 6 or 7 years now. That was a legitimately terrifying movie. Like, I had a lot of fun. I got to see that one in theaters. I was very enthusiastic about that movie when it came out. Nothing like the original, but awesome nonetheless. Okay. This one is not that creepy or spooky, but whenever I read this or I watch the movie, it kind of it gives me the feeling of Halloween. It's the costumes and all the mischief and everything. Now, I just want to say the mischief in this book goes well beyond anything that I'm familiar with. But just to say that it gives me that kind of feeling. And I'm from New Jersey. I grew up here. I spent a lot of my formative years here, and we we have this tradition. I think you guys have it other places as well, called Mischief Night, and it's the night before Halloween, and the kids just go around and just tear everything up. We throw eggs at each other. I think one year we flipped a car over. Like the kids just go crazy and just tear everything up, throwing toilet paper. I mean, yeah, we'll buy eggs for like 3 days ahead of time. Just buy all the eggs in the corner stores. So and just yeah, it gets crazy. Um, but yeah, that's Mischief Night, part of Halloween, and this book just reminds me of that. A Clockwork Orange. I like this one a lot. If you are into audiobooks, the audiobook for this is so good. It's so good. I'm sure there's a couple ones, but the one I I had the pleasure of listening to was awesome. Okay, back into the horror, and then we'll do like kids horror, whatever that is. Clive Barker, Hellbound Heart. Uh, and this one, a it's kind of hard to talk about it without spoiling it, but basically there's a man that he pursues all of life's pleasures, and he finds a box basically on his travels, and they tell him, "Oh yeah, like what you're looking for is inside of this box." And somehow he figures out how to open it, and these interdimensional beings that are um, just masters of torture and pain, they appear, and then uh, they enact their their violence upon this character for opening this box. And yeah, that's about as much of it as I could tell you without ruining like the plot. So there you go, Hellbound Heart, Clive Barker. This is a good one. This is a good one, and it's nice and short. All right, the kid stuff. Well, I say we, but me. I grew up. I was born in like 1990, so mid 90s, 2000s. There was a lot of like horror themed stuff for kids. Not necessarily scary, but just like creepy, spooky kind of stuff. And one of those things was Goosebumps. And so if you had the pleasure of growing up then, like these books were written for kids. Um, I'm to my knowledge, the author wrote all of them. Like it's not like a syndicate or like a company kind of thing. Like this guy was really writing these books, and um, I mean, we were all reading them, and we'd pass them back and forth, and you'd beg your parents to get you the ones that you hadn't seen, and then the TV show would come on, and you'd watch the TV show. One of the best opening credits for a TV show I think ever. But yeah, that's Goosebumps. I feel I don't I don't want to say that I regret anything in my life, but man, I'm still kicking myself in the butt for getting rid of these books, for trading them in, for almost nothing. But I'm trying to rebuild my collection. So, Scarecrow Walks at Midnight, Goosebumps. This was a good one, and if I remember correctly, they had a TV episode that was pretty scary too. I got a couple of these books, but not too many. I pick them up in any condition. I don't mind. And I think it's endearing when the little kids write their names and stuff on the inside. And then here's one. They were calling these Choose Your Own Adventure. If you're not familiar with the format, you you read the book, and then they'll give you like this little bookmark, and they'll give you situations, and then you pick what to do, and then you turn to that page. And so there'll be like, this one says it's got 20 different endings in it. So you would just read through it and try to, discover all the endings. So those were a lot of fun. Last but certainly not least, honestly, this might be my desert island horror pick, is these occult kind of mysteries by the author John Bellairs. And he had a couple of different main characters, but all the stories would involve what I consider to be like realistic magic. And there's a bit like there is like the author definitely kind of knew what he was talking about. And it's set in the like 40s, 50s kind of time period in New England. And the characters are older, like grandparent age for the protagonists. So something I didn't really appreciate when I was reading these books is that they were of this age when like spiritualism was a big thing, especially on the East Coast in America, like tarot cards and theosophy and all kinds of stuff. So they would have been, they're wizards in this book, but they would have been like members of like Golden Dawn or Rosicrucian Order, if you're familiar with this kind of stuff. And that just really kind of opens everything up. But they're coming of age stories, and they involve occult elements, detective, and kind of just like New England nostalgia. And I really loved these as a kid. Anytime I would move somewhere, I would go right to the library and see if they had the ones that I hadn't read yet. So lots of fond memories, and I'm about due for a reread of these. I recently reread the most popular one, House with the Clock in Its Walls. Just a word of advice: there's a movie, and you should not watch it. It's really that bad. I'm not one of these the book is better people. It's not that the book is better, it's that movie is just terrible. Don't take my word for it, because I watched it. I knew I shouldn't have watched it, and I watched it. It was terrible. Like offensive, to be honest, but what can you do? All right. I blabbed a lot this morning. So until next time, find somewhere to hide, find something to read, and yeah, get a little scared. Peace.